Money isn't just numbers, it's strategy, security, and sustainability. I'm Rena Goodwin, and in this episode of Grow Your Wealth, I sit down with Danya Karram, financial planner and co founder of Brilliant Advice Wealth Management, and we explore what every entrepreneur needs to know about building wealth that lasts. Danya shares her journey from accounting to financial planning and why she sees it as your personal strategic plan. We talk about the meaning of financial readiness, the power of scenario planning in uncertain times, and how entrepreneurs can balance growth with protection. Danya reminds us that understanding your finances isn't optional, it's the foundation for long term success. Here are the strategies that will help you get financially ready for whatever comes next in business and in life. Here's Danya. Danya Karram, it's so great to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Grow Your Wealth podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. But let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to dedicate your career to financial planning. What attracted you to this career path?
Okay, well, that's an interesting question because I ended up going where the wind blew me, which actually happens to a lot of people. And I would say it's constantly pivoting. So always moving to where the wind's blowing you. And I didn't start in financial planning. I never knew the industry, the profession existed. In fact, it's a very young profession. But I had an accounting background from college, and I always liked math and I always liked finance, but I didn't want to be a broker. And that was the opportunity at the time. So I did lots of different things. But at the end of the day, I am a strategist, and financial planning is basically strategy. It is your personal strat plan, the way I call it. So it was able to marry my financial interest as well as my strategic planning interest. And then I love people. So it puts me directly with people, working with them to make their futures better. That's how I got here.
That's amazing. What is your day to day like? So I know financial planning, if I put it in air quotes, can mean a lot of things to different people if they don't really understand. Can you kind of walk us through what you do for entrepreneurs and business owners specifically?
Sure. So our clients are entrepreneurs, they're business owners, and then they're people that work for, corporations or companies or small businesses. So we have lots of different clients, but what's in common with all of them is that they're interested in growing their wealth, providing for their future. So as far as financial planning goes, what I do is we plan their wealth. We plan to build their wealth according to their goals. So our objective is not to make you as much money as possible, which may sound really good, but there's a lot of risk with that and a lot of volatility. So we build a portfolio based on your goals. So if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, and you have an exit plan, you say, I want to retire. I want to sell my business at when I'm such and such years old, or I don't want to have the pressure of making this kind of income. Then we'll build a plan to get you there. Once we have the plan in place, then we build the investment portfolio to support that plan. So it's very individualized. So I would tell you the secret to financial planning is that it's your goals, not my goals, not your family's goals, but your goals. And we work towards those.
Ah, that's super interesting. I love that. From your perspective then, so, kind of starting with those goals, something that I've seen you talk about a little bit online is something that sounds like it comes before the goals, financial readiness. I feel like I hear that everywhere. What is that exactly does financial readiness mean? What does that look like in real life for entrepreneurs?
So financial readiness, I think, can mean lots of different things, depending on who you're speaking with. I guess I would look at it as, are you ready for the next step? Whether that's the next step in your business, or your family, retirement. It's preparing your finances today so that you'll be ready for tomorrow. That's how I would define it.
I love that. And right now, I'm sure you feel it. Your clients are feeling it. Ready for tomorrow is a very interesting way to phrase that because I think a lot of businesses are just trying to get by today. particularly with market volatility, world volatility. What are some things that entrepreneurs can do right now, today, to help them kind of build a sturdy business?
Well, whether you're an entrepreneur or an individual, what we do is scenario planning.
Mm.
And I can tell you with our own business, my partner and I, when we, all of a sudden we're in the middle of a pandemic or the pandemic started, we started doing what we do for our clients. We started doing scenario planning. What if this? What if that? Because financial planning, life planning is about being able to be ready, financially ready for whatever scenario comes your way. And while we can't identify every scenario, and who would have thought 10 years ago we would have had a pandemic come our way, it certainly was possible. We might not have had it listed as a high probability, but guess what? It happened. So probability analysis is what we do with our clients. And that's how we attempt to forecast out the future. Like you said, we don't know what that's going to be. But one thing we do know is that we're in a highly volatile environment where things can go up one day and down the next. Decisions are made one day. The markets are reflected in that. Your tariffs are in place. Your business is affected by that or not. So we do our best to try to look at various situations and how we can best protect you and make the right choices. And that's a big part of it, is protection. And I would say as an entrepreneur and an individual, you want to look at how do you best protect the things that you need to protect, and then put other things maybe more at risk that can withstand the volatility. So it's a little more complicated than a one phrase answer, but it's diving deep into trying to figure out if we can have a window into the future.
Makes a lot of sense. And I know just before we started recording, Danya, we talked a little bit about some of the ups and downs that businesses have kind of unrelated to market, right? You get an influx of new clients. You yourself, right? You are at what you call capacity, right? But an entrepreneur's spirit at the same time is very much focused on growth. There's a saying that I love, that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I think that this very much can pertain to business growth as well, too. While we're hungry for that growth can really be scary, right? I've seen it shut down businesses, as we've talked about as well, too. Can you talk to us a little bit about slow and purposeful growth when it comes to business? What does capacity look like? We've talked a little bit about top line versus bottom line, how to kind of manage that smoothly as an entrepreneur. I know you have to be ready for anything, so to speak, as we just talked about, but what are some steps that we can take today to also ensure, based on what we can control, the financial health of our businesses in the future?
Okay, that's a tough one.
That's a big question.
That's a big question. Yes. I think you have to start with knowing yourself. And when you're younger and you're starting out, you really don't quite know who you are. You're figuring it out. So you're trying different things and seeing what you're good at and what you're not so good at. As you progress, as you mature in your business and your own personal development, you start to see what works. So you start to understand better your strengths. And I think it's very important as you mature to always be looking outward into the market that you're in, but you also need to look inward. And one thing to do, I think is very helpful, is to observe yourself and where you spend your time. Where you spend your time is what you enjoy doing and what's probably easy for you. Okay. Now, especially when you're procrastinating, okay, that's an indication of where you're out of your comfort zone. So watch where you spend your time procrastinating. Watch where you spend your time when you just jump in and you just do it, because you know that you're good at that and you enjoy it. And what you want to do is as you're moving along and developing your business, spend more time in the things that you enjoy doing and that you're good at doing, right? So you're playing to your strengths. And then as you develop your business and you have a little more help, you help other people help you in those weaker areas. very few people are good at absolutely everything. There are a few, okay? But very few are good at everything. The sooner you figure out, again, what you like doing and what you're good at doing, that's the magic.
Mm.
A lot of people are good at something, but they don't enjoy it, or they like doing something, but they're not good at it. But if you can identify by watching where you spend your time and you're able to monetize that, okay,
Mm.
that's a successful entrepreneur or a successful person. You don't even have to be an entrepreneur. You can work for someone else. Okay. So I think that's important to just understand who you are. We spend so much time understanding our market, our customer base, and we do not understand who we are. And when we don't understand who we are, that's when we mess up, because we put ourselves in situations where we're not going to succeed. We may succeed once or twice because, winds were in our favor, but it's not sustainable. Does that kind of answer your question?
It does. Yes. This is something really relevant for me and even my team right now as well too, right? We're, especially as service providers, like everything that we do is on behalf of someone else, our clients, right? But at the end of the day, it's us that are doing the work. So, we're really deep diving right now into what our individual, not just strengths, but passions are.
Right.
Particularly in a very feisty industry such as public relations, it's not for everyone, right? So that being said, me as the leader, this is something that I'm discovering about myself, that I'm definitely where I should be, which is good, but you also kind of understand where you need help to kind of fill in the gap. So I absolutely love that, because for a lot of business owners, or even people that are working in maybe commissionable type roles, it really does fall on our shoulders to make the money happen, so to speak. But not everyone's great at that. And you had mentioned this amazing book that I absolutely love as well too, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, that is an oldie but a goodie, and it kind of breaks down some of these personas. Is this a book that you recommend to your clients as well? And I'm also just curious, why do you love it so much?
I wouldn't say I recommend it to clients. I think most of our clients are beyond that. They figured it out. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyone that's starting out as an entrepreneur or midway before they get there, I would recommend it, because the word entrepreneurship, there are college majors now in that, right? That never used to be. It's such a buzzword. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. They think they want to be an entrepreneur. But what I love about the book is that it shows you the difference between a technician, a manager, and an entrepreneur. And so we all start out as technicians. We're all good at something. We're hired to do something, in our job. Or if we start our own business, we do something well. Then we know we want to scale it. And then we become a manager. And then it becomes very clear whether you like managing people or you don't like managing people. But we all want to be an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur basically has to do all three. They have to be able to make the pies. Okay. If one of your employees doesn't show up, they have to be able to manage the employees, and they have to be able to grow and build the business. And that skill set, it's a skill set, but it's also a lifestyle choice, because guess what? You're on 24/7, right? And not everyone, sounds great. There's lots of positives that can come out of this, but it comes with a lot of responsibility, and not everyone wants that. And it's okay. If you're a good technician, you just want to do your job really well. You know what? We need really good surgeons. We don't need our surgeons necessarily being an entrepreneur. Some can be, but we need a surgeon who does the same surgery over and over and over and over. Okay. Many physicians are entrepreneurs too, but we need people that are good coders. We need people that are good at things. So that's okay. If you're really good at it, become the best you can be. We need managers. We need people who are really good at managing people, because that is hard. I can tell you, I don't like it. So that's why our business is a business of two people. And when I say we're at capacity, because we don't want to grow any bigger, we don't want to manage other people. I can do it, but don't like it. Okay. I like being a technician, and I like having our own business, but managing people is not my thing. An entrepreneur needs to, it's a different animal. So I love the book because I think in a very simplistic way, it shows you through the illustration of a pie, someone who makes pies, who makes great pies. People tell her to go open up her own shop. She opens up her own shop. Now she's got to has to hire more people to make the pies. And then all of a sudden she opens another location and now she's growing the business. And at the end of the day, she really just wanted to be a pie maker. That's where she derived her joy. So it's a great book. If you're thinking about entrepreneurship, what I don't like about it, the word entrepreneur, is that it's being thrown out there and nobody really understands what it means.
Oh, yes, you're giving me flashbacks to this book as well, too, because I felt so sad for the pie maker. Maybe her name was Sarah or something like that, that she just wanted to bake pies. And that can certainly, I mean, that's come up for me many times. Like I got into this because I loved PR, not necessarily running a business. And I do less PR than ever right now. I'm doing more of the on the business side. But, that just kind of piques my curiosity a little bit. What do you, if you have any advice, maybe you don't per se, knowing yourself obviously is super important. That being said, Sarah went on to grow her business, but maybe it's hiring an operator or something like that that can kind of take on those more executive type leadership roles in your business so that you can kind of focus on it. Um, any suggestions there as far as businesses, small to mid-level, how they can kind of navigate that?
So if you are a technician and you love what you do, keep doing it and be the best that you can be. Not everyone wants to be a billionaire because becoming a billionaire or a multimillionaire comes with a lot of stress and a lot of responsibility. The more you have, the bigger your problems because now you have to protect it, right? Yeah. So we're really lucky. So in this country where we have the opportunity to do lots of things, we can have a nice life being a really good technician. So you get to decide the life you want. So you start with your goal in mind. If your big goal in life is to have work-life balance, right? To have good health, to have a strong family, to be involved in the community, to be able to have time for your own interests and passions outside of work. Maybe being an entrepreneur is not for you because those things typically, something's got to give to be a billionaire. Okay. You have to spend a lot more time building your business, a lot less time. Now, if you truly are an entrepreneur, then your passion and your hobbies are your business. Okay. And sometimes your family members are in your business. So you can develop those relationships, or your closest friends work for you. So you can make it work, right? You get to decide what that looks like. But again, being an entrepreneur can be many things. You can be a pie maker, a technician, and be an entrepreneur and have your own shop, one shop, do the pie making yourself, run payroll yourself, have somebody help you. That's an entrepreneur. And I guess your goal is at what level? Do you want to have 100 shops across the country? Right? That's a different type of an entrepreneur.
Hey there, I want to invite you to join our Grow Your Wealth community over on Slack. It's a safe space to network and connect with podcast guests, entrepreneurs, and wellness-minded pros just like you. Head to growyourwealthpodcast.com/community to join us. That's growyourwealthpodcast.com/community. I look forward to seeing you over there. I have a question for you, Danya, and you might hate my question, but you know what? I have you here and I'm going to take advantage of your smarts. Okay. For an entrepreneur that, let's say, at the end of the year has got a nice chunk of change just in terms of profit, right? They did all the things and they want to reinvest, use that money to build wealth without working more. I'm sure you deal with this with your clientele. Do you have any tips for those types of entrepreneurs? Obviously, going to see a financial planner, step number one. What are their options look like?
So that's a really good question because I've worked with quite a few people, typically have a liquidity event. They're selling their business, right? They've worked this hard. They they're going to sell their business. They need to figure out, sometimes they come to us and say, what do I need to sell my business for? At what level of profitability does it need to be where I should start looking to sell it? So then I can maintain my lifestyle, okay, through the rest of my life. Sometimes people have a liquidity event if they work for a company. And, we have a lot of clients who work in the tech industry and they get big stock option, packages. So that's another liquidity event, or they sell their medical practice, whatever it is. Okay. So I think the biggest thing that people miss, and I may not be answering your question exactly, is that how much money you need to maintain your lifestyle. Okay. Should you not work? So it depends if you're 50 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. I mean, I have clients who have big liquidity events who are in their 40s because they work for a tech company. They've done really well. Okay. And their idea is, when can I stop working this hard? So typically it's not that I want to retire at 50, but I don't want to have the stress of working in this high stress industry or my business, high stress business. They miscalculate often how much money they need. It's a lot. If you're going to want to maintain your lifestyle through the end of your lifespan, and we have no idea how long that can be. And in today's world, it's conceivable that you'll live to 100, at least high 90s to 100. It's a long time to live. Okay. So, and I think I've kind of somewhat lost track of your question, but it's coming to a financial planner, right? Modeling out, okay, what are my options? What do I need to have? What do I need to sell my business for? Okay, so that I can now take my foot off the pedal and not have to be working so hard. How much money do I have to have in place now so that I can retire and be able to support myself, my family, in the lifestyle that we're accustomed to for the next 40, 50, 60 years? Okay. And that number is always a lot higher than people think it's going to be. Because I can tell you, in all my years of working with clients, very few say that I want to slow my lifestyle down in my retirement years. They typically say, we want to travel more. We want that second home. We want that boat. I want to leave a legacy for my children. Our parents, our grandparents, when they hit retirement, they back down on their lifestyle. And a lot of financial people will tell you, oh, you're not going to spend as much money when you're retired. Well, really? Do you not want to? Do you want to cut back when you finally have time on your hands? Do you want to not travel? Do you want to have to do it, differently than the way you had when you were working with the high income? So it's always a lot more than you think. So sitting down with a financial planner and planning it out. And if they say, well, okay, you're making, I'm just throwing out numbers. You're making $200,000 a year now, you and your spouse combined. But, in retirement, we've got you budgeted at $100,000 a year. That's when you say, no, gee, that's not going to work for me. Okay. So how do I get it up to at least where I am today? Because I want to maintain it. But most financial planners, I will tell you, and financial people will not look at it that way. They'll say, oh, you're not going to spend as much money. Guess what? Yes, you are. And your healthcare is going to cost a lot more.
Absolutely.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
I love that. No, it's sort of answered my question. I might have a follow-up question, but that probably is my favorite answer that you've shared thus far as well too, because just kind of looking at financial health, readiness, all of these things, right? Especially when it comes to women, we're living longer than ever too, oftentimes outliving our spouses. People call it a nest egg, but that sounds like that's not enough for so many people. I was literally listening to a podcast the other day, Danya, and it was interviewing this couple that you're probably familiar with, the FIRE movement, early retirement.
Yeah.
They retired in their late 40s with 2 million. I'm like, is that enough? I'm like, it gave me a lot of pause. And especially my generation, I'm an elder millennial, and there's been, I'm sure you've seen headlines and things like that. Financially speaking, our generation is not ready for retirement, even 25 years from now, in my case as well, too. So, it sounds like to me, maybe seeing a financial planner even before you've got liquidity, right? Just to make sure that your money right now is going to work for you later on, is so important, would you say?
Very much so. The challenge is there are very few people out there that are just financial planners and not investment managers that you can hire just to do a financial plan. They're out there. May not be anybody local in your local area. You might have to go beyond that. There are also some online tools that you can just do some down and dirty plans yourself. Okay. Most this is the problem with my industry, is that to do a financial plan for you, they want to manage your assets. Okay. And that's where you just want to be buyer beware. And I'll share with you that there are different types of financial people. They have different incentives. You want to make sure that whoever you work with, so basically they're going to say, I'll manage your assets, and then we'll do a financial plan for you. Okay. You have to make sure that they do not sell you anything, no products. You want to make sure that they're a fiduciary at all times. I say that and it sounds like it makes sense, but the majority of clients, people in the industry, financial advisors, in one instance, they are a fiduciary, and in another, they're not. We say they wear two hats. The bigger firms, okay, the bigger companies, I'm not going to name, but they're incentivized for selling things that their companies, that's how they make their money. They have sales quotas. They're salespeople. That doesn't mean they're all bad. Some are good. Okay. But the incentives are there for them to continue to bring in new clients and to sell existing clients' products. That's really not aligned with probably your goals. You want attention. I would say go with a small firm. Go with someone who, they're credentialed as a CFP or a CFA, chartered financial analyst and certified financial planner. Okay. Stay away from insurance companies, anyone that's selling products. You need insurance for your insurance products, but not so much for your financial planning. The challenge for people that are millennials, Gen X, is that you typically don't have the assets to qualify to work with some of the better people.
What do you mean by that? Is there like a threshold?
Yeah, there's usually, oftentimes, there's $1 million minimum. Okay. And a lot of millennials don't have that. And understandably so. You're young, you're building, you're in building years, you're buying houses, and you're having children and building families. So you don't have that extra money yet. Your prime earning years are typically in your late 40s, 50s, early 60s. So if you can't, afford a financial planner, or you don't have the assets to work with someone small, I would say save to your 401k through your employer. A lot of times your employers will have a financial planner available that can help you do some long range planning. But I will tell you, when you're young, a financial plan's great. It'll kind of tell you what to work towards, but retirement's so far off that it's going to give you some general goals. I mean, a lot of people in their 30, 35 that I've talked to will say, I want to retire at 50. Well, that's great, but a lot's going to happen between the age of 35 and 50. We can work towards that, but life will happen. You may want to have the option to do that. So again, I'm not sure if I answered your question. Kind of got off on a tangent, but it's hard to find someone to work with. I'm going to tell you, get online, use some free tools, use your employer, whoever's your, provide your financial plan, or your 401k
Mm-hmm.
typically has someone that you can talk to or work with. It's going to be general, but it'll get you on the right track.
Kind of on that same note, Danya, what is a myth about financial planning that you would love to bust for every entrepreneur?
So most entrepreneurs have done some type of strategic planning over their years, right? Just as you know, if you're an entrepreneur and you have that strategic plan, the day you finish it, it's stale. It's no longer good, because tomorrow something happens that throws you off, right? So a financial plan is not just a one and done. It's something that has to be revisited all the time, because life happens. Just in your business, absolutely every single day, something can happen you may have to pivot. right?
Mhm.
One thing that I find successful, this is what my husband and I did. We've been married a long time. Because I had the accounting background, I wasn't afraid of numbers at all. I know some people, what men or women, they don't like it. They'll say, I'm not good at this. I never say that to say you maybe don't know much about it, but you're smart. You can learn.
Yeah.
But we would talk about it. I mean, and I will tell you, I worked and then I stayed home. We had for about 10, 12 years. I stayed home with my kids, worked part-time, um, did some things part-time, did a lot of volunteer work to keep my skills up because I knew I wanted to re-enter the workforce. But my husband was a busy entrepreneur at the time, physician, right? Somebody had to stay home and take care of the house and the kids. I was that one. He was handling the bills at the time. We had a financial advisor because obviously I wasn't in the industry, but every month we would sit down and we would talk about where are we? Tell me what I don't know. I would tell him, he would tell me, and we would talk about it because it was our plan. It was our life, right? So typically we did this on long car trips. So maybe it wasn't every month, but if we were in the car for a period of time, we would just say, where are we? What are we doing? And are we on track? And we would talk about things together. And that's really, really important for a couple. I understand there's a division of labor. We had it. Okay. That one person takes control of the finances and the other person has other responsibilities, no matter what that is, but you still have to communicate.
Mhm.
So the myth is that you, set a plan in place and then never talk about it, never look at it again. You never talk about it with your partner or you never talk about it with your financial person.
Mhm.
You have to be revisiting this all the time. Am I on track? Just like you do with your business. You
Mhm.
don't put a business plan in place and then never discuss it. And the environment changes and you stick to the original plan. Nobody does that. You wouldn't be in business. So you have to use those same skills, the same instincts that you have for your business that make you successful in your personal life.
I love that. That is such a strong answer. I have been on the receiving side of that advice, just set it and forget it, right?
Mm.
And so what I'm hearing from you is you wouldn't do that with your business. Why would you do that with your personal finances or any finances for that matter as well? So I absolutely love that. Thank you, Danya. And finally, for the entrepreneur that is listening who has been putting off getting all of their money stuff in order, what would you say to encourage them to start now, even if it feels really overwhelming? Like as you mentioned, for a lot of people, they're not money people.
Mm-hmm.
What's the kick in the behind to get them
Okay,
there?
the kick in the behind is number one, it's never too late. And number two, you can only be a successful entrepreneur if you have your finances in place and you understand them to the penny because you have to make decisions every day. You're not a nonprofit. Nonprofits make mission related decisions and then they figure out how to get the money. Okay. You are a for profit organization. You have to have the money figured out. If you don't have the money figured out, I wouldn't put a bet that you'll survive. You may get lucky. And I will tell you that's the problem with entrepreneurs. You get lucky a few times. You're in the right place at the right time. And then you think you can always get yourself out of a situation.
Mm.
And you have to understand the finances. It's the foundation that holds you up. You are in this because you love what you do. You have a passion for what you do. But at the end of the day, you can't do it if you can't financially survive. So I don't care what it is. Sit down with your accountant, sit down with your bookkeeper, but really know the books inside and out. Too many entrepreneurs get taken advantage of by employees because they weren't looking at the books. Okay. If you make sound financial decisions and you have a product that people want and you're really good at what you do, that's your recipe for success. But it's hard to do it, be successful without all three of those components.
Ooh, mic drop moment. Thank you, Danya.
You're
I
so welcome.
so appreciate your time and your incredible insights and expertise. Where can people stalk you online?
Okay. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and I am not doing TikTok because that's just not That's not where I am, but you can find me there. I'm happy to answer questions for people or help them or get them on track. Website is brilliantadvice.net. There's a contact form. If you want to send an email, I'm always happy to respond, send you in the right direction.
Amazing. Danya, thank you so much. We'll make those links happen in the show notes. It was such an honor. Really appreciate your time.
I've enjoyed it so much, and I hope I've helped some people out there.
Definitely. You've helped me. Thank
Good,
you.
good.
All right.
Okay, you take care.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode deposited some useful advice and insights to help you grow your wealth. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future conversations. You can find more resources, episode details, and updates at growyourwealthpodcast.com. And let's keep the conversation going on Instagram. Follow me at Grow Your Wealth Podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, or takeaway from today's show. Until next time, remember, burnout is optional. Take care, and I'll see you next week.